So here I am again. This is the patch job and the caulking job that I pointed out in the pictures last week that I said we were going to get to this week. First, I'm going to deal with this. This is where water has been able to escape the tub and it has destroyed this corner of the wall. This is a plaster wall with concrete backing. So the concrete backing, if that was regular sheetrock, that would have been all destroyed. We would have had a hole there probably. This is why you use concrete backing when you anything in a bathroom. It helps prevent from that happening. So the only destruction was the outside part of the wall. So what we did is we scraped this all down, cleaned it up, and we got it back to solid, so it ain't gonna break apart. By the way, thank you to all who gave me well wishes for my health and what all happened last week. I appreciate that. I probably shouldn't even be here today, but I am. What I'm gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna cut this patch in two, and we're gonna utilize one half for the top and another half for the bottom. Now, when using a metal patch in an area where water exists, condensation, etc., you don't want rusting to occur. So you got to be particular about the product that you use for patching. You're not just going to use regular drywall patching. You have to use a particular DAP product that will seal this and make it moisture resistant. Otherwise, you're going to rust and it's going to come back. So pay particular attention to using metal where water exists. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set this up for the next part, which would be patching. Okay, so we have our metal patching in place, and cut to size, takes care of the holes. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to patch it right in. There's no way to teach you how to do that. It's experience. You have to know how to use your knife. You have to know how to use your the compound that you're applying to the wall. And that's it. I'll be right back again. All right, so we completed the first coat. Okay, this is just one coat right here. We're probably going to go upwards of 3 coats. Don't worry so much about these little imperfections, because this all gets sanded down. The idea here is to build it out, feather it into the wall, and then sand it smooth so it all becomes one. Again, it's a technique. I can't teach it to you. You'd have to be here and I'd have to teach a school on how to use a knife. So we'll get back to that. While that's drying, we go to this. Now here we have a great example of how caulk was probably put in incorrectly. And most likely they didn't use, well, I can tell. Well, they did underneath, but I don't know what product they used, but look at it. So it's all wet underneath. Water actually got behind there. So I'm going to start the process of cutting all of this out. And we're going to get it all back to new the best we can, all of this. And then we're going to redo it. And I have a video of me doing this before, but just a partial video. This time I'm going to show you the whole thing. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting it out, and I'll be right back. So it kind of opened up a can of worms. Usually happens. Obviously, what we're finding out with that caulking and how loose it was and why is there's some loose tiles right here. That's loose. You can see some missing caulking, and all into this corner. The rest of the wall is probably pretty decent, but over here the wet wall, loose tile. So this is turning out to be a doozy to clean out. There's my boy Mikey, hard working, while everybody else is in Mexico, Tijuana, having a nice time. My son's earning money. So the reason here is the back wall is saturated with water, and it's like a sponge. And they probably applied caulking, nice and white, dried, but then the water behind the tile that's still there because of the loose grout and everything, obviously came down, got behind the new caulking, and that's what caused that mess. So we're going to continue here with all this hard work. Right, Mikey? All right, so Michael's cleaning it up a little bit. We did all right. It was pretty difficult to get that out of there. So what we're going to do next is talking to the owner, letting them know about the water behind, and we have to do something about it. Rather than pull the tiles out and open up a can of worms, we're going to put a Band-Aid on it for now, because the whole thing's going to be redone. So what we're going to do is we're just going to stop the water that's getting behind minimally anyways. We're gonna, put a band-aid on it, not minimally. So we'll go ahead and we're gonna regrout all this area and all the areas that I can see that need to be done. And then we're gonna apply our joint compound. And again, this is all drying up. We'll come back to that, put a second coat. So what I'm doing over here is I'm going to prepare the grout, and like I said, what she agreed to was just a band-aid repair, a little inexpensive until she gets to the bigger repairs. Once I start removing these tiles, we'll probably open up a can of worms and it'll just run amok. So we're going to just go ahead. They're pretty well set. You can tell they're loose, but they're pretty well set still. And we've allowed dry time in the back wall. So they make tools for removing the grout in the middle, for grinding it down as a specific tool. But in this case, these grout lines are so thin that the grout is sitting right on top. And I'm just gonna use a very thin screwdriver just to go ahead and just take out anything that might be sticking out, protruding, and get it prepared for the new caulking. If you had larger grout lines here, you'd have to really get in there. In this case, the grout lines are so tiny that this is all that I really need to do. And it'll get me exactly what I'm looking for when I apply the new grout. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue doing this halfway around the wall, and then again, I'll be back. All right, so this is a float, and what this does is it'll help push the grout into the lines, and then at the same time clean up a little bit of the residue that'll be left behind if you just keep working it into the grout lines. So I'm going to begin right here, and I'm going to work my way down. And I'm going to grab a little bit of the grout that's mixed up. Oh crap, we won't be using that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to work our way into each line. Now you gotta work with the grout fast because it dries up on you, and you don't want it to dry up because it becomes that much more difficult to work with when it's dried up. Like mine is kind of already drying up a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna remix, make it a little wetter, a little bit more workable, and come back to this. So after I remixed and got it a little bit more wet, it's a lot more easier to work. It doesn't fall, as you can see. Now you use a sponge. You keep a sponge, a grout sponge, like this. You bucket a 5-gallon bucket of water, and you go back and forth, and you rinse, and you go back and forth easily, skimming over the top and taking off the residue. You just want to go in like, I go in slow circular motions and I try to hit the tile itself. And what you want to do is not over wet the sponge. You don't want it soaked, dripping. You just want enough that it's gonna moisten what you put there, the residue, and lift it. But trust me, it's consuming, time consuming, and you're gonna have to do it a couple times, go back and forth. So you'll see with experience as you do it. So this will bore you to death. I gotta do this for a while. Again, I'll be back. I'm gonna continue this wall. When I get back, this should all be done. All right, I'm running out of battery power on my phone. What else is new? So we grouted here and around. And what we're gonna do now is silicone this area off. Usually you can use a silicone gun, you know, big tube. Again, small jobs, I just grabbed this, a nice tube of silicone, water resistant. Finish it off with my finger. In some areas the gap is wider than others on the tile here, so you have to make it a little thicker. But that's it. That's basically it. Let me see the phone. That. All right, we're gonna finish it around. That'll take care of this. There's no easy way to make old tile or a bathroom like this look new. It ain't happening. This is just to prevent water damage. Everything else is nothing can be done. It needs to be rehabbed. So we're gonna come back to this because this really has to dry. And then I'm gonna take off the curse, you know, meaning sand down a little bit of these, you know, sand these little nubs off, and then apply a second coat, nice and smooth. And then possibly a third coat, we'll see how it goes. But we'll have to return, do that at another time. Tony K, Mr. Fix-It, another job, saying goodbye. Don't let my doctor see this. She will kill me for being out working right now. Peace.